Stephen Colbert is taking his firing very, very well. As you can see, he recently went back on The Late Show, not that anybody even noticed, the show that is going to be wrapping up, after it was launched because of the popularity of David Letterman after the bungling that happened after Johnny Carson wanted him to take over The Tonight Show. And as such, CBS created The Late Show for him in 1993, and then he ended up handing the keys to the castle over to Stephen Colbert a decade ago. And now the show's not just, being handed off to a new host, they're closing it down full stop. So yeah, instead of trying to make the best of a bad situation, instead of, maybe positioning himself for a better job down the line, no, he just doubles down on the dumb shit that got him fired to begin with by saying Stephen Colbert, he tells Donald Trump to, go fly a kite after The Late Show axing. It's so funny, right? Because it's not you and your overly political show after you telling half of the country to get bent for what amounts to essentially a decade. It's not you making the entire show that was at one point a staple of television into a laughingstock that nobody watches. No, it's Trump to blame. In case anyone worried that Colbert was going to be going quietly into the night after CBS canceled The Late Show, it's clear that he won't. In an early clip posted from tonight's show, which at this point in time would have went live on Monday, you guys would have seen it or seen some of the cringe that is out there, because honestly, like, watching any of these clips is just as good as canceling your good bill of health. Colbert responded to President Trump's gleeful social media post about his firing. We'll get to that. How dare you, sir? Would an untalented man be able to compose a following satirical witticism? Go after yourself, he said into the eloquence cam. Oh, it's so cute, right? Well, what's he talking about? Trump gloating over Stephen Colbert cancellation, claims that Jimmy Kimmel is next, which, we'll get to him, which is hilarious. President Donald Trump took to social media platform Truth Social on Friday morning to celebrate the cancellation of CBS's The Late Show with Stephen Colbert. Trump's post not only mocked the long-running late-night host, but also speculated that fellow late-night comedian Jimmy Kimmel could be next on the chopping block. The president also praised Fox News' Greg Gutfeld as superior to his left-leaning rivals. I absolutely love that Colbert got fired. The talent was even less than his ratings. I hear Kimmel is next. has even less talent than Colbert. Greg Gutfeld is better than all of them combined, including the moron on NBC who ruined the once great Tonight Show. Oh man, a reference here to Jimmy Fallon. Interesting how he's going to go ahead and, group all of those people together. The announcement of the show's end, came just a day earlier on Thursday, July 17th, when CBS revealed that The Late Show would conclude in May of 2026. It's a purely financial decision. It has nothing to do with, Colbert just ostensibly, words are hard sometimes. If only I had a team of, dozens of writers to puppet my every single word. I have to come up with this stuff off the top of my head, but I digress. Going back to this. Talk about Trump all the time. You drive off your audience, even the converted that you were theoretically playing to. They could even be getting bored of this stuff by going, oh my God, what, it was raining today? It must be Trump's fault. Oh no, the economy's bad under Biden. Must be Trump again. It's like, can you just, get a different joke? Can we find a new punchline from this supposed comedy show? No. All right, I'll check in with you later. It's just year after year, quarter after quarter of bad rating result, and you'll wonder why you got fired. You'll wonder why you got canceled. And instead of a moment of introspection, hell no, we just need to go ahead and, invite on all of those other hacks and, just rope in Seth Meyers as well, because, on Monday, Jimmy Fallon, Seth Meyers, and Jon Stewart, oh, really, because we'll talk about him, will appear on The Late Show with Stephen Colbert tonight to show solidarity after Colbert's show was canceled. Bro, who cares? Because Jon Stewart is now uncertain about the Daily Show future amid Paramount Skydance merger and, Colbert cancellation, which honestly, because Jon Stewart, after his failed, I don't know what he did after his first tenure with The Daily Show, which is so funny, right? Because he's actually patient zero when it comes to all of this stuff. And I know, a lot of people learned about Colbert after he was doing that bit part on the original Daily Show back in the early 2000s. But Jon Stewart, he made all of these talk shows overtly political, because The Daily Show, prior to his tenure, was not anywhere nearly this close to being this political. It was just more of a satirical recap show, which I can't remember the name of the guy who just had the show to begin with. But no, Jon Stewart decided to take it it in a decidedly left-wing direction, and so many scions of modern comedy have come out of the Jon Stewart camp, and well, you can take a look at the overall comedy genre and realize that, oh my god, he really did fucking kill it. As dead as The Late Show is about to become in May of 2026, haha. But no, after Stewart had to come crawling back after his, because didn't he have like a podcast, or maybe he had like a talk show for Apple, and that ended up getting canceled because A, nobody watches Apple, and B, Jon Stewart outside of the confines of The Daily Show, who can't do anything approaching relevance. Now, because the gag that he used to pull in the early 2000s no longer plays in the mid-2020s, holy shit, we're here, he has to wonder if his free ride is over. In a candid episode of his podcast, The Weekly Show with Jon Stewart, it's so funny, right? Because all of these hacks, like, they're eventually just going to start to take over places like YouTube and podcasting, and they're just going to turn it into the same platforms that they got canceled from to begin with. And yeah, something I've been talking about for years at this point in time. YouTube is eventually going to become the equivalent of cable television. They're going to start to push it all out. It's going to go from YouTube to ThemTube, and yeah, it's increasingly important to places like Rumble and other alternatives build up and maintain an air of free speech about them, because it's a ticking clock when it comes to Google and YouTube. Because if YouTube didn't have Google money backing it up, I mean, like, this is a platform that has never turned money because it is so goddamn expensive. So yeah, if you start to have all of these mainstream hacks come over with all of their financial backers, it's just a matter of time before they bend over and let all of these scripted hacks take over a platform that you and I created. But I digress. Jon Stewart, yeah, has a podcast that nobody watches or listens to. The veteran comedian and host of The Daily Show expressed uncertainty about the long-running satire program's fate following the cancellation of Colbert's Late Show and the impending merger between Paramount and Skydance. Stewart, who has been a staple of Comedy Central since '99 and returned as a part-time host in 2024, shrugged off concerns, but admitted he has no communication with Skydance executives. Oopsie daisy. Now, the comments come at a tumultuous time for late-night television. Yeah, the networks grapple with declining ad revenues, shifting viewing habits, and escalating production costs. Stewart's remarks highlight broader anxieties in the industry, where even Emmy-nominated shows like The Daily Show, well, at one point in time, so was The Late Show, which recently garnered a record 12 nominations. Who knew? Including Outstanding Talk Series, I bet, are not immune to corporate restructuring. I mean, you take a look at this. What the fuck did they do? The exact same shit that got Colbert canceled, for Christ's sakes. And it's so funny, right? Because when David Letterman was running The Late Show, okay, back in his heyday, specifically like mid to late 90s, even like back when I was definitely watching TV growing up, okay, you'd always get those stingers for The Late Show. And was it, hi, we're going to have political pundit of the week coming on? No, you were going to have the celebrity was going to be sitting down and they were going to be discussing their upcoming project. And yeah, it looked banal and trite at the time, but still, it was something that drove ratings. Jay Leno, David Letterman, Chris Ferguson, all of those guys were getting good ratings. And, you know, he even just going back and listening to some of those old clips and some of those old interviews, they were pretty goddamn good, okay? Not even just in comparison, not in the whole, well, if you compare it to what we have now. No. They were very good at their craft, and that's why they were getting ratings. And that's why they had the entire country. That's why they were getting millions of people watching, not million plus people watching. Because they weren't taking political stances, because they weren't drawing ideological divides. They were trying to appeal to everyone, and surprise, surprise, they were funny about it, and they succeeded in doing it. Why do you think Saturday Night Live has fucking died? Because all of their talent left, and they decided instead of, cultivating new talent, no, we can just dive headfirst into politics. We'll get that early bump, and you know what? They did, and now look at it, 50 years on, and nobody cares. The Daily Show, dead. Late Night, dead. All because of what? Jamie Lee Curtis blames politics for Colbert's cancellation. They're trying to silence us. They're admitting it. They're saying the quiet part out loud. Look at our propaganda outlets. Why are they getting rid of them? Oh, because nobody fucking cares anymore. You're not using them as entertainment vehicles. You're not using them as they were made for their intent. You're trying to use them as pulpits for failed ideas. And running it back to Jimmy Kimmel, cursing out CBS over Stephen Colbert's Late Show cancellation as Trump claims he's next. Yeah, this blackface wearing hack Post it on Instagram. I love you, Stephen. F all of your Sheldons, CBS. Yeah, take a swipe at the shit that, Big Bang Theory. There's a conversation to be had that show has done an insurmountable amount of damage in popular culture. But still, a lot of people watch that show. Young Sheldon, for whatever reason, a lot of people watch that show as well. But you know what? Not a lot of people are watching your fucking show. Celebrities like Adam Scott, golfer? I don't think so. Judd Apatow. If it wasn't Jon Stewart who killed comedy, for my money, I would just put it on Judd Apatow, a fucking 40-year-old virgin. I remember watching that movie, and then at the end of that 2.5-hour long fucking snooze fest, I was like, oh my god, if comedy follows this blueprint, it is so dead. And lo and behold, guess what happened? And Katie Couric echoing support for Colbert while amplifying Kimmel's frustrations. They're all united in their opposition, not to CBS getting rid of the Late Show. That is just a simplification of the situation we find ourselves in. They're united in understanding what these platforms, what these programs' importance was for the Democratic platform. We're starting to realize that, oh shit, we're not as popular as you think that we are. We've lost the plot. And instead of having a moment of introspection, just like the Democrat Party itself, they're deciding to double down and blame everybody else who wasn't watching them to begin with. It's kind of like whenever a YouTuber comes out, okay? Because eventually that's what all of these people are going to have to be. Aha. They're going to have to join the rest of us plebs that are out here. And spoiler, we've seen some insights for a lot of these talk show hosts when they've had to go on their own and just how atrocious they are without their team of writers. Fucking abhorrent. Makes Hassan Piker look like somebody with 190 IQ, but I digress. They're going to get more vitriolic until every single one of them is canceled. They lost touch with Middle America a long time ago, and now all of their pandering, all of those years of bending over for coastal cities, they've started to realize that, oh shit, not even they're paying attention. They're already starting to move on. You're a relic of a bygone era, and your cancellation will not be met with applause. It will not be met with this initial wave of quote-unquote outrage that Stephen Colbert has got. It will be met with abject silence and people looking back in the years to come going, oh, I remember that show's on the air. Oh, and then got canceled. How sad. I wonder what he's doing right now. Sucking dick for crack. Not a surprise. I remember him on The Man Show not that long ago. Kind of seemed like the type. So with all that said, thank you all very much for the gift of your time. I've been Don Consuelo. I want you to follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.